Good evening. It's Tuesday. It is just gone 8 o'clock. It's back. The Tuesday clinic. We've missed a week. Obviously, there hasn't been a lot of football played actually, has there, the last couple of weeks. But we are back. A lot to talk about. It's been another interesting week in the life of Arsenal. There doesn't seem to be any other week at the moment, does there? Even when we're not playing, there seems to be some sort of drama. But anyway, a lot to talk about coming up the other side of this. So the Tuesday is back. So we had a week off, but we are back, raring to go. Melvin's definitely raring to go. How are you doing this week, Melvin? You okay?
Yeah, fine. Missed it last week. Come on, let's get going. Don't waste time.
Melvin's been wanting to do this since Thursday, I think, and we finally got it together. Adam as well. Welcome back, Adam. Are you okay this week as well?
I'm all good. Again, raring to go. Missed a bit of football actually, so bang up for tonight.
Excellent stuff. And of course, Dorsey, I think my camera might have frozen. I don't know if you can still hear me. But Dorsey as well in his fantastic new Arsenal shirt as well, which is looking very good as always. We always rely on Dorsey with his nice shirts every week.
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, it's been a pretty good week, isn't it, for Arsenal? Good week and weekend, and just got to see if we can capitalise now. But looking forward to tonight. Lots to talk about.
There is lots to talk about, yeah. Despite the lack of games, I suppose, over the last week or a couple of weeks, there's not many. We haven't played many times, but ultimately, as we've said, there's lots to talk about. But we might as well start with the one game that we did play in the last couple of weeks, and it turned out to be actually a good result. So 1-0 to the Arsenal, of course, the famous old chant, and it's always nice to get a nice 1-0 win, particularly away from home in a game that against a tough opponent. I don't have any doubt about that. It was always going to be a difficult game, and it was a very controversial game in many ways. But I want to kind of break it down into two sections, really. I mean, we will talk about the sending off sort of separately, but the way that we played up until that point, and then obviously we changed tactics, changed formation after that. I mean, Melvin, up until the sending off, certainly the first half of the game, I thought we approached that game really, really well. We set up really well, didn't we, to play on the counter attack? And every time we went forward, we actually looked dangerous, didn't we? And we did get the goal from a set piece again, which is something that we've improved.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but I still think that it was even the first half, as well as we were playing, it was frustrating that we had a couple of very good chances to score and never took them. I thought, oh no, it's not one of these games again where we're just going to take just put the handbrake on the second half, let them come at us, and they might nick a goal. I mean, there was a couple that really, one of the best moves of the game was when Saka did that move, and I think it was Cedric crossed it or something. Was it Cedric? When Lacazette should have scored. Yeah. He hit it straight down the keeper's throat. I don't think he even caught it that hard either. I mean, had that gone in, had he put it either side of the keeper, that would have gone in, and it would have been one of the goals of the season. It was a fantastic move. It
would have been like that Southampton goal, wouldn't it? That Lacazette scored at the Emirates. It would have been a very similar type of goal, wouldn't it, if he'd scored? But obviously he didn't.
A similar one was White in the first half as well. Had a good chance to shoot, and they blocked it. I think if he'd got his shot in a little bit quicker, I think they wouldn't have had a chance to block it. It's a lot of ifs and buts, but we did play some good football. I thought some of the players were terrific. I mean, all the way through. Gabriel, I know they gave him man of the match, but on the telly, they normally give man of the match to the person who scores, even if they, go up to score 3 own goals and get sent off, they still give it to the person who scores the winning goal. But I thought Gabriel was man of the match. I thought it was outstanding in every respect. He's got a presence about him now since he's come back. There's something different about him. He's really, really impressed me. White, again, I thought was terrific. He's a very intelligent footballer, and they linked together very well. Cedric did all right. He didn't have a lot to do, to be honest with you. What he did well. It was, I thought, I won't go through the whole team, just how he defends. And Tierney, I thought in the first half, he made a couple of errors that he got away with. I thought, but he had a steady game. He was all right, Tierney. And again, the goalkeeper was fantastic. It's actually, I thought we'd formed a dip the last month or so, a couple of times in a couple of games, but he was terrific. He's back to his best. Ramsdale is fantastic, and he inspires the whole team. All in all, we did very well. You know, I think our trouble is we do get a couple of players isolated. I think Saka is isolated sometimes. I think Martinelli is isolated sometimes, and I don't know what the answer is. But anyway, but I was very happy with our first half performance. It was very, very good. Against, as you say, they're a very good team, Wolves. You know, if they get 3 points, how do you get them? And also play well. I mean, let's forget about the last 20 minutes, but we played well. The first 50, 60 minutes, played very, very well against a very good team away from home. And I think you can't ask for more than that. All I would have asked was to get a couple more goals, but you're never going to beat Wolves 3-0. But I'd love to have got one more just to let us rest, let us relax a bit more as Arsenal supporters. But no, fantastic.
They'd won 6 in a row, hadn't they, before that game?
League games, yeah.
Yeah, they'd won 3 in the league. Yeah, they lost in the FA Cup there a week before to Norwich, I think. But yeah, in the league they were doing well, and they don't concede a lot of goals, Wolves, to be fair. So it probably wasn't realistic for us to go there and score a few, but we didn't need to in the end because the defensive performance was so good. I mean, you mentioned Cedric there, Melvin. I actually think, you know, considering he hasn't played that much, he's not a regular in the team. He doesn't play hardly at all. I thought he came into a difficult game and actually played really well. Yes, I agree. He wasn't overly stretched defensively, particularly, but I thought he had a really good game.
No, he did what he had to do. No complaints. Yeah. I won't complain. I'm just saying he did what he had to do and he did it well. But he wasn't stretched because I think over the other side, Tierney was far more stretched with the guy that he was trying to mark.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves tended to attack more down that side, didn't they? That was their strength, and that's what they were looking at, exploiting that down that side. And yeah, maybe Cedric wasn't exposed, but I thought he had a really steady game actually. And I say, considering he doesn't play much, I think he deserves a lot of credit for the performance that he put in actually. So, but yeah, I mean, I think we all enjoy, you know, being Arsenal fans. We kind of grown up on the 1-0 wins and the backs to the wall kind of thing. And it wasn't really backs to the wall until the sending off. It was, we were in that game. I thought we played well. We had that big chance with Lacazette, didn't we, to make it 2-0, which would have sealed it and would have made our lives a lot more comfortable in the final 10 minutes or so. But ultimately, he's not good at those sort of finishes, unfortunately, is he? He misses too many of them, and that's a problem. But that's a very small kind of complaint, really. I mean, Adam, you must have been delighted with the performance, the two sections of performance. Because it was two different performances to me. It was with 11 players, I thought we set up really well, and then with 10 players, we just gave everything, defended our goal for as though our lives depended on it, didn't we? In those last 20 minutes, that was brilliant to see the way that we really just shut the door on Wolves. Pretty much, they didn't have too many clear opportunities at goal, did they? 1 or 2 shots, that was it, and they didn't get through us. We were so solid and so well organised.
It's true. I mean, I wasn't overly confident going into the game. I thought we'd get a result, but to be fair, I thought maybe a draw because Wolves had been on a good run. So for me to go there and get a 1-0 win, I love a 1-0 away from home win. I don't know, it's just something about going away from home, getting a 1-0 win, getting out of there, and you can see what it meant to the players. So I was chuffed with that. But I think Melvin, you know, said everything that was really true. I mean, I wrote notes as well, and the same players that I wrote notes on, Melvin just mentioned, which was like, you know, the back two, the goalkeeper, and Cedric. And I think that Cedric, for me, like you mentioned, you didn't notice him. That tells me that he had a good game. The fact that you didn't notice him, you know, usually you notice players because they've had a nightmare or done something, excellent, let's say. But for him, he was just solid and steady. And I've always felt that with Cedric. He's never really let us down. I don't think he's quite at the level we need him to be. But as a backup who can come in like that and still get that level of performance, you can't argue with that. You know, you really can't. But, you know, I thought tactically Arteta had it spot on in that first half especially. I felt that, you know, a lot of praise has got to have been given to me. I know that we are fairly restricted in the team we can put out now. But he actually set it up bang right, I thought. Like, he looked at Wolves, he looked at their strengths, he knew what we had to do, and he set the players up to play a little bit deep, hit them on the counter, and it worked. And yeah, it would have been lovely to score a couple more goals, and we should have. We had the chances to probably score 3-0, let's say, but to get that 1-0 win, possibly a little bit of a scrappy goal as well. I always like that. But yeah, I was well chuffed with the performance. I mean, you know, I'd be well happy if we'd done that away from home every game. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was great. And I do like the fact that he had obviously done a lot of research on Wolves over the last few weeks and noticed that, you know, how to neutralise them, and it worked. And it works because Wolves have been having some great results, haven't they, recently? Let's be fair. I mean, they had a dodgy start to the season, but it really, really picks up. And I think they were the form side going into that game at the Premier League. I think they were top of the form table, which is why I wasn't overly confident. But it seemed like that break done us good. That 2 and a bit weeks not playing, get the players back to fitness. Take the pressure off them a bit because we'd had a really shit January, hadn't we? So that break really kind of helped us, and I just hope this can now push us on. So yeah, well happy with that. I know we'll talk about the second half in a little bit, but all I'd say is the second half reminded me a little bit of the Liverpool game in the first leg of the semi-final, that kind of performance. Which again was great. It was quite really good to see. And again, they kind of really played for each other then. They had each other's backs, the backs to the wall, real kind of battle in spirit, which again, you can't not like, and you saw it against the players at the end. The Wolves were, that was it, Neves who had a right go saying, I acted like we won the league. No, we won a game, but they fought for it, do you know what I mean? And that meant a lot because they had to really battle. Because again, I think that the players are kind of starting to feel hard done by with the decisions going against us. So when we're getting these decisions against us, which I know we'll probably come on to later, and you get the result, it must mean a lot. Do you know what I mean? It really must mean a lot to them.
It must, yeah. And in a way, maybe, we have started to get used to playing with 10 men, actually, because it's happened quite a lot in recent games. 4 in the last 6 games we've finished with 10 men. So I suppose we're getting used to playing like that. And you can see that, the way that Arteta, I've complained that Arteta doesn't change games tactically enough during the game to make a difference. But I suppose it was forced on him in a sense by the sending off. But ultimately, he changed the shape of the team to get the result, and it was brilliant. And I feel that was fantastic management from Arteta actually as well. And I think he needs to get a lot of credit for that because he could have tried something different, but he went with what he knew was the best way to play it in that game with 10 men, and it worked. Brilliant from him. And Robert's in the chat there. He says, "Hello, lad. Seen your notification. So hello. Yeah, how you doing, mate? Thanks for tuning in." He says, "The Wolf came knocking, but they could not get in, no matter how hard they tried to blow our house down." Yeah, that's kind of sums up that certainly the last 10 minutes actually. And Tom says, "Yeah, good evening, lads. Long time no see." Yeah, it's been a while, but we're back. Obviously, game to talk about now finally. And Robert says, "Yeah, Wolves just beat Spurs." Well, they did, yeah. But everybody can beat Spurs. So I wouldn't really read too much into that too much. But anyway, they are a good side, Wolves. Let's be honest. Dorsey, that the way that we adapted to the different situations in that game, I actually like, because that's the one thing I don't think we've done enough under Arteta so far. But for me, that was great in-game management all the way through. For the way he set up at the beginning to the way he changed it when he had to, the substitutions were right for the situation in the game, and it was he got everything spot on pretty much, didn't he, Arteta, on Thursday?
He did, yeah. He got everything, yeah, from the lineup, yeah, to the changes in game, and then obviously, like as you mentioned, the changes that were forced upon us in the second half. He got everything spot on. I echo everything that Adam and Melvin have said about the players that they've picked out. Gabriel, for me, he seems to be going under the radar a little bit. You see all these players that are kind of getting player of the month for Arsenal, but for me, he's been right up there for a few months this season. I think he's been very, very consistent. He's very, very solid. Like Melvin said, him and Ben White, they're really starting to click, really starting to build a decent relationship. They kind of remind me a little bit, obviously I'm not putting them on this pedestal, but the Vidic-Ferdinand kind of combination they had, where one of them's big, strong, comes and wins everything. And then you got the Rio Ferdinand, Ben White kind of comparison where he can really play, he can bring the ball out, he can pass it, so really excited about them too, because they're so young as well. And if we can keep hold of them, it looks good for a really good centre-back pairing. One player I did want to mention, who gets a lot of stick from Arsenal fans, and I find it a bit harsh sometimes, but I thought Rob Holding, when he came in, I thought he was absolutely superb when he came on. 100%. And he gets a lot of stick, but he's another player that stays professional. He doesn't complain. He doesn't throw his toys out the pram when he doesn't get picked. He comes into the side, and I genuinely can't ever remember games where he's let us down. He's made a real costly mistake. I think he's a very, very solid player to have around, and I think he's a good leader. Yeah, go on, Mel.
Just to say, I agree. That's probably one of his best performances. I wasn't on the pitch for long, but that, and I don't particularly. He's not my favourite player. I think you probably know that. But that performance was great. But what I will say about him, it suits him when our backs are against the wall. He's the perfect defender to be in our box. When we're playing football, when the ball's going from up one side to come back to our side, teams have a break. He's not the best.
No.
If we've got a back, as I say, backs against the wall, the balls are coming in. He was putting everything in front of that ball. He was winning everything.
Yeah.
He was as brave as you like. And as you say, don't complain. I think it was a terrific performance.
Yeah.
And
When you're in a battle,
that's what we could have been man of the match.
Yeah, I definitely think he suits a back three more than he suits a pairing, because if he gets caught one-on-one, he's not the quickest. He doesn't turn very well, and I think that's when he can be kind of found out a little bit. But I think if you stick him as part of a back three with Ben White and Gabriel, I don't think he'll go too far wrong, really. Like Melvin said, he'll put his head on anything. So yeah, I just wanted to mention him because I thought he was really good when he came on. But yeah, I mean, I can't really say much more than what the other two guys have said. I thought we were brilliant. I think the one thing obviously we keep going through these situations where we're going down to 10 men, and I see a lot of things put out on social media where players aren't playing for Arteta, players aren't happy, this, that, but you don't get performances like that. If you're not a team that's together, if you're not a squad that's united and you're playing for the manager, you don't get performances like that down to 10 men. It's happened a few times now. And for me, the unity in that squad, I think is rock solid. I really do. For the first time in however long, you can look at that squad and there's no troublemakers. There's no one that's making any clicks in the squad. They all get on. You can see that from the trip and all the media posts that Arsenal were posting the 2 weeks trip. They're all smiling, they're all laughing. It's really, really nice to see. And first and foremost, I enjoy that because I like seeing a squad that's happy, that wants to play football and wants to play for the club. And I can take you a long way. So I think that's something we need to keep. But yeah, in terms of the game up until the sending off, I think Arteta got everything spot on, and I think we thoroughly deserved the 3 points. And it's a really, really big 3 points because, like I said, Wolves were bang on form, especially in the league, 6 in a row. They were really going in the right direction. So to go there and not concede, buzzing, great result. And then the results that followed that for the other teams just made it even sweeter. So
it all kind of went in our favour, didn't it, over the weekend? Which
for once, for once.
Neil's in the chat. Good evening, mate. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. He says, I hope you're well. Yeah, we're all well. And he says, Rob Holding is great. Old school defender. He's definitely an old school defender, without a shadow of a doubt. He does. And as James says there, Rob Holding's a defender that enjoys defending in that back three when we deploy a low block. He loves it. The back two ball playing style we have now doesn't suit. No, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it? And that's what kind of Melvin was sort of saying before, isn't it? He's not as comfortable on the ball as Ben White or a player like that, is he? So and he's maybe not quite as physically demanding as Gabriel is in the penalty area. So he's not as good as either of those two in the back two. But when you've got the three of them together, he is brilliant at just getting in the way, isn't he? He just gets in the way and clears the ball and does what you're supposed to do. And James there says, Dorsey spot on. Exactly. We totally agree with that. Yeah. So, I mean, it was an outstanding performance in two different kind of aspects of the game. I'm still slightly worried of the attacking threat that we're not really offering. And I mentioned the chance Lacazette missed, and unfortunately, because we aren't offering massive amount of attacking threat in games, those big chances we do need to take more often, because we're not always going to be able to hang on for the clean sheet, are we? We are going to need the second goal and sometimes the third goal, and we're not creating an awful lot of chances. So we need to take, and we need to be more clinical, don't we? And that's the one thing at the moment that's, obviously this is only that goal at Wolves was only the first goal we've scored since New Year's Day. So we have still got this problem. We scored 2 goals in 2022 in 6 games. And it is an issue, and it is still an issue that needs to be resolved. And yes, the defensive side of the game, I don't think all season we have been generally pretty solid, 1 or 2 games apart, which we know about, but we have generally been pretty solid at the back. And that's great. And it's great that that's working. Melvin mentioned before actually about the kind of that side of it. And to me, the problem is the midfield. I think that's where the problem is, because we don't have, when Xhaka and Partey play, they're good at certain aspects of the game, but they're not driving us forward, either of them, are they? Partey looked like he was going to be that player, but he isn't. he's good at what he does, but he's not driving us forward. Xhaka doesn't really drive us forward as well as Xhaka played, actually, I thought, on Thursday. And I think that's where the problem is. Ødegaard's kind of lost a little bit. He played quite well, Ødegaard, but he seems to drift around a lot, picks up a lot of nice little areas, but he's not influential enough, is he, in the attacking sense of the pitch? He's not creating any opportunities, really, is he, for the other players? And we're relying on a moment of magic often from a Saka or Smith Rowe or whoever it might be. And it was odd that the goal at Wolves was from a set piece, a scrappy goal from a set piece, which actually went to VAR. I actually thought it was going to be disallowed. I mean, Melvin, what did you make of the goal? Because it did go to VAR, didn't it? And I think we're all a little bit worried if it was going to stand. It should have stood, because I didn't think anything wrong with what Lacazette did. He tried to get the ball. In fact, if anything, it was a foul on Lacazette, wasn't it? Maybe we'd have got a penalty and we not scored.
Definitely, I thought it was the other way around. I think what it is, I mean, we're obviously going to talk about this later, but I think it's now you can get a special thing put on your computer, and they can do it in VAR now. That every time we score, it goes automatically to VAR. If it was a penalty, it'd still go to VAR. If we score from a penalty, I mean, it'd probably still go to VAR. So I wasn't shocked that any goal we score goes to VAR. I couldn't see anything wrong. I know you see it differently. You think you might miss something. But I thought, well, they could not allow it on the basis that it's Arsenal. But let's just see how strong their case is. And they couldn't make a case. They tried to get Perry Mason on the case, but that didn't work. So they had to get the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be that was exactly the impression that I got, that they literally run out of reasons to disallow it. We can't find anything to disallow it, so we're going to have to give it. We don't want to, but we're going to have to. That seemed to be the impression that I got from it, because when you saw the replay, it was obvious Lacazette got there ahead of the goalkeeper, and although he didn't get the ball, he didn't make a foul. In fact, if anything, the goalkeeper fouled him.
Took him out.
Yeah, the goalie took him out. Yeah, maybe it should have been a penalty had we not scored, but I doubt we would have got it. But yeah, I mean, they did seem desperate to try and find a way to disallow it. Looking at a few replays, to come to the decision to give the goal, which, we saw one replay straight away. You could see, well, that's clearly a goal. There's nothing wrong with it. But anyway, it's Arsenal, isn't it? I mean, what did you make of that, Adam? The goal itself. I mean, it's good that we're offering a little bit more of a goal threat from set pieces, which is making up for the lack of goal threat that maybe we've shown in open play often in games.
Yeah, I think you got something with the midfield, definitely, what you said earlier. I think you definitely touched on something there. And it was, we were looking at a midfielder in January, but we couldn't get who we wanted. So, and I think it is that transition. We have got the players up front. We've definitely got the players at the back now, but we're just lacking that transitional in midfield. People like someone who can get the ball and get rid of it quick, like Conte at Chelsea. He's done that really well for years. Cuts out the play, gets rid of it quick. Our players tend to, I think, dawdle on the ball a bit longer than they need to. They do their job, but they're not dynamic enough for what we need to how we want to play. So it's really important we do get a dynamic midfielder, in the summer. But the goal itself, I mean, in real time, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And when they double checked it again, if anything, I thought it was a foul on Lacazette. I mean, let's be fair, all goals do get checked by VAR. It's part and parcel of it, but our ones do seem to take a little bit longer. That's the point. That's the point, isn't it? It's like, come on, you can't be serious. And like, I'm sitting there watching it, and I was thinking it is going to get disallowed. But then everywhere I was looking at, I was like, how they're going to disallow it? I ain't got a clue. But they're going to disallow it. We know they're going to disallow it. But it was relief, and I felt that maybe we deserved that little bit. Do you know what I mean? Something because of what's gone against us recently. I'm thinking like, maybe someone up there did like think, oh, actually, we can't disallow it. Yeah, let them have it. But there was no reason not to. Let's be fair. It was a completely legitimate goal. It should have stood. It's just annoying how the game's gone. I mean, I've never been a fan of VAR. I think it just ruins the whole flow of a game, And, but I understand that, things have got to be right. But, yeah, it's one of these things. But, yeah, happy with the goal. I mean, it does go to show that, like you said, we had that really sweeping move that Lacazette couldn't put away, that we are capable of these kind of moves, but then it took little kind of scrappy goals to get us that win. So it is kind of good in a way that we are getting those kind of goals because, we are lacking something. We are lacking that kind of striker who can put those chances away. I mean, Smith Rowe's still our top scorer, isn't he? And he's been on the bench for most of the last sort of 6-7 games. That just goes to show alone how much of a minimal threat we've had from a centre forward position this season, so that is obviously another area which will be strengthened in the summer, I'm sure, and we're crying out for it.
Well, yeah, we are. I mean, it's I suppose it's a strange statistic that Gabriel has now scored as many goals this season as Lacazette has. he's a central defender, and it kind of sums up.
You'll take a centre back who scores 3, 4, 5 goals a season, wouldn't you? Anytime.
Well, no, of course you would. You need the defenders to pop in with goals, but they shouldn't be scoring as many as your centre forward, should they? I guess that's the issue, isn't it? Not so much the Gabriel scoring, because it's great that he is.
Number 9 and number 6 the wrong way up, I think.
Yeah, maybe Gabriel needs to turn his shirt upside down and then play him up front, and he might get a few more goals. But I actually like the fact, that we are looking I know we've got a new set piece coach this season, and maybe at the beginning of the season we were struggling. Maybe they were still working on things, but recently I've noticed that we are looking a lot more dangerous when we get corners and free kicks in around here. You're suddenly thinking to, if you know what, we've got a chance out here to get a goal. I didn't used to feel like that, which is nice. It's nice to see that happening, and we are getting goals now. I know not enough recently, but we have been scoring a few from set pieces, which is nice to see as well, because that is such an important aspect. You know, when your lovely passing moves don't end in a goal, which often they don't with us, we need a backup plan. And now we seem to have that. I mean, Dorsey, have you noticed how much better we look in an attacking sense from set pieces? Maybe not so much defending always, but certainly attacking now. We seem to have, we're often more of a threat than we were.
I think we look a lot more settled and more organised defensively and offensively from set pieces. But yeah, I think it's a mixture of having the right players. I mean, Gabriel, he absolutely attacks everything, doesn't he? With everything he's got, he doesn't hold back. So we probably haven't had that kind of player for a while to do that. But yeah, they've certainly put a lot of effort into the set pieces, and you can see that coming. I guess just touching on your point about the lack of creativity, I do think there's a slight imbalance with the midfield. But what I will say is, I think Thomas Partey, I think he's got the ability to be able to play those passes. And I think one of the problems that we don't have any runners. None of our front three make runs in behind the defence, really. Martinelli will do it every now and again, but Saka always drops out wide. He comes and gets the ball, and he likes to try and make inroads towards the goal. You've got Lacazette that constantly drops deep to get the ball, tries to look to make things happen. Martinelli does the same. It does a little bit of both, but every now and again he'll make a run behind the defence. But we haven't got a player that's making that run. I mean, it's all well and good having the players in midfield, but if you haven't got the runners, it's pointless. So I mean that's something that concerns me, and I know we touched on it when we did the transfer show, but that's the one thing that could really come back to bite us. Is just, that chance that Lacazette missed in the second half. I mean, he's a good enough player to put that away. And I don't know whether there's just a lack of confidence there, maybe only having 3 goals all season. That's probably playing on his mind. But I mean, more often than not, he at least gets you 12, 15, 16 goals a season. So I can't see him hitting those numbers this year, which is a shame. But he's a good enough player to be able to put those chances away. And I think if you give him a couple of games before that and he gets a couple of goals, then he puts that away. But it's it's the only thing that's a real concern is that lack of creativity. And like Adam was saying, I mean, the fact that Smith Rowe is still our top goal scorer and he's still and as he's not really played a lot of minutes, really, is he, over the last 6 weeks?
Well, when did he last start a game? I can't remember the last game he started. It was ages ago, wasn't it? November.
He picked up a bit of a knock, didn't he, and missed a couple of games, and then Odegaard kind of started to play really well, and he struggled to get back in. But certainly from set pieces, we definitely look more dangerous, and it's not because literally the last 10 years, every time we get a corner, I'm like, pointless. You might as well just give it to the goalkeeper and let him take a goal kick. It's absolutely pointless us having a corner kick. So whereas now, we look a bit of a threat. So it's good, and you can tell that these things that they're working on in the training ground, I think every week you start to see it more and more. There's little things, little situations where you see similar actions, and it's that's what happens when you work on stuff on the training ground. So it's positive, definitely. I'm starting to get a bit more excited about set pieces now. I wasn't, like you said, for years and years. It wasn't worth us having them, was it? Really? Oh, it's pointless. You're just wasting time by having it.
You were. Yeah. Neil says there, Ramsey would, in my opinion, be good in his current squad. A player like him, I'm not sure if he's the answer necessarily, but someone like him who makes them run through midfield would probably help. Rob says there, Chambers made Holding look bad. He'll be better now. Chambers has gone. Chambers back pass constantly when we should attack, leaving Holding under pressure to clear the ball. He did sometimes, yeah, I guess. I don't know how many times they played together, actually. That's quite an interesting point. I haven't really thought about that. Robert says there, Egypt went all the way to their African Cup of Nations to the final. Yeah, they did. So we should look at El Neni. Like Holding can make mistakes, but also a workhorse. He is, but we need that creativity in it, don't we? You know, El Neni would do a similar job to Partey or Xhaka, but we've got Partey and Xhaka that are better. We need someone who can offer something different. You know, like we said about the combination in midfield, probably wrong, isn't it? So I'm not sure El Neni is the answer for that.
What's Jack Wilshere doing nowadays? He doesn't seem to have a club. I mean,
well, who knows what he's up to? He's probably.
You know what? I was quite shocked that they haven't looked at him.
Yeah, me too.
For me,
there's no downside, Dorsey. What's the downside?
There's no downside.
Is it a fitness issue though? Is he not actually fit enough to play in the Premier League now? Is he not? Is that the reason?
Maybe? He's in every training session. Every time they're uploading pictures,
he's in every. Isn't it?
Of course it is, but how do you know? He hasn't played any games. How do you know if he's not fit enough? Unless you.
Well, no, we don't know, but. I mean, you know, maybe the fitness coaches at the club, maybe the doctors and stuff, maybe they've assessed him and maybe they don't think he's fit enough.
At least be good for a spot on the bench. At least be good for that spot on the bench.
It doesn't make any sense to have him there, someone that loves the club, wants to play for the club.
I know.
It doesn't make any sense. You pay him if he plays. He's not there for the money.
No brainer.
You give him a contract to the end of the season. We're short in numbers in midfield as it is. It literally, there is no downside. It makes no sense why they haven't made it happen.
No, I'd say other than there may be something that we don't know about that's causing the issue. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of because it doesn't seem to be any reason why, and we haven't done it, and it seems crazy. But anyway, Neil says VAR could be used so much better, but it's being misused. Whether could be so much better, it's being misused. Yeah, I quite agree with that. Whether by the sheer nature of it or deliberately, however, goal line technology is a wonderful addition to the game. And yeah, and if VAR was used as well as the goal line technologies were, and I don't think we'd have too many complaints about it, really, would we? It's just it isn't really doing that, is it? James says,
technology, Richard, is different to all the other VAR decisions.
Yeah,
all the other VAR decisions are humans got to make a decision.
Yeah. That's
it's a definite yes or no.
Yeah.
Apart from that one, was it the Aston Villa game, wasn't it, the other year, Sheffield United, where it was winning and we didn't give it.
The
other than that,
camera was blocked, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just didn't work, did it? But anyway, yeah, usually it does. James here makes a point about obviously Ben White not known for his heading. Obviously for the goal, kept that phase of play going by knocking it back across the box. No, he did. Yeah, it was good play from Ben White that led to the goal, or certainly helped the goal. And Robert says Gabriel can only improve. And Dorsey spot on no runners that we need urgently. Yeah, we know there isn't any runners. And he says there Smith Rowe's looked tired recently. Yeah, he was injured, wasn't he? And he's maybe slightly off the boil than what he was before, I guess. But I'm sure he'll come back stronger. And we look forward to that. And Neil says I don't mind seeing Jack. No, I don't think any of us would mind seeing him if he can play, if he's fit. And Robert says regarding Wilshere, he's still young. To George Best, who played when he was drunk. Well, he did. So after the Arsenal team played when they were drunk back in the 90s and 80s, didn't they? So I'm sure he should be able to play. He's not going to be playing for us, is he? Which is a shame when we need a player like that desperately. But anyway, let you know, I guess it'll be sorted out eventually. I mean, just before we leave the Wolves game, actually, I did just want to touch on, you know, some of the comments made by some of the Wolves players after the game regarding that celebration. I mean, Melvin touched on it before. I mean, you know, I can't understand what the problem was. You know, you've won a game away from home when you're down to 10 men against a difficult team, and you're going to be delighted with how you played. What's wrong with that? The team celebrate all the time. Wolves celebrate winning at Spurs on the weekend. You know, what a crazy thing to say. And if that hasn't fired us up for the return game next week, then I think they've created more problems for themselves, Wolves, by saying those things, some of those players. And it's like, what are you even on about? You know, why can't players celebrate a great, as Dorsey mentioned, how together the squad are celebrating that victory, which was a team performance. It wasn't an outstanding individuals that won us that game. It was a team performance, and everybody was delighted that we come out and won. I don't understand. I mean, I hope now that when we play Wolves at home, we go and smash them 6-0, and it will serve them right, and then celebrate every single goal that goes in. and really, really rub it in their faces because they deserve it for that. It's just ridiculous. Football's about winning, and if you win, you've got to celebrate. It's what it's about, isn't it? Sport in general. You know what I mean? Why criticise people for celebrating? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, let them get on with it. And I hope it comes back to haunt them in a couple of weeks' time. And as Neil says there, what's wrong with celebrating? Absolutely ridiculous. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with celebrating. We need to celebrate more, actually, especially when we play Wolves. So let's make sure that we do. And I'm sure the players will have a little thing planned if we get a few goals against Wolves, actually. I'm sure
I think it was old Neves was pissed off that we didn't make a bid for him, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he was. It was Connor Cody as well, didn't he? Was going about as well. Connor Cody was the one making sure they was all celebrating when they beat Spurs, wasn't he? Leading, I know he's a captain and stuff, but even so, just ridiculous stuff going on. But anyway,
everyone hates the Arsenal, mate, and we love it.
Exactly, yeah. And we need to just now need to make sure that when we play them next time that we do make sure that we definitely beat them and we definitely celebrate and we make sure they know they've been beaten again. That's what we need to do.
Can I just say something about this?
Yeah,
again, you're talking about first, Richard. I've never heard any other team complain about another team celebrating ever.
No.
We did the first button again.
It's not. You don't think we often win. It's like, well, surely that's what you expect. Then, if you just won a game, or if you lost a game, you expect the other team to celebrate winning, don't you?
Yeah,
surely?
But no one else complains. It's only us.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, ridiculous from Wolves that was. But having said that, we've got to play them again very soon, so we'll see exactly what difference that makes to the mindset of everybody and stuff. I'm sure that could be quite an interesting game now, even more interesting than it was going to be anyway. There's a little bit of niggle now to that game, isn't there? After that, I think from the fans as well and the players, I think it's going to be quite an interesting game. But we've kind of touched on it a little bit, and I do want to touch on it a little bit more now. Obviously, the red card and various other crazy decisions that only seem to go against us. I mean, it's easy for people to think maybe as Arsenal fans we're paranoid, that we complain about every decision that goes against us and that we make more of a big deal out of it. And, it's the same for everybody and it's that and the other. But it quite clearly isn't the same for everybody when no ever in Premier League history, and even probably before that, I can't ever remember happening in 45 years I've been watching football, that a player has got 2 yellow cards in the same phase of play. Not knowing he's got a yellow card for the first one, of course he's going to carry on and make another challenge because he doesn't know he's on a yellow card. You cannot do that. It's ridiculous. Whether the rules say you can or not, the referee's got to use his brains. And no other team, well, it hasn't happened for any other team. It doesn't happen. It's only Arsenal. And this is just one example. This is the latest example, obviously. There's a whole load. We could reel off probably 10 each. 10 different examples each of us could probably come up with where we've been on the end of some very, very soft refereeing decisions that have gone against us, whether it's red cards, whether it's penalties against us, whether it's things not going our way that should blatantly have been going our way. And this has been going on for as long as I've watched football. This isn't a recent thing. It's got worse recently, I think, in the last few years. It's got worse. But it's always been there. I mean, Melvin, obviously, you go back even further than me. I mean, was it always like that, even sort of back in the sort of 60s and stuff like that? Or has it mainly been more recently?
No, it wasn't. I don't recall it being in the 60s, 70s or 80s when watching the Arsenal. No. So I think it's got the last since Wenger's come, I think it's got worse. Honestly. Since
it's got worse,
yeah. It wasn't that with George Graham, I don't recall. You might put me right.
But you think about it, Melvin. Who got points deducted? Arsenal under George Graham. No other team's got points deducted for a similar incident. Yeah, Man United did, but they only give it to them because they give it to us for the same thing. We get whenever they're going to trial something, let's trial a new punishment. Who do they pick on first? Arsenal. It's always been the case.
Man United didn't get the same points deducted as us, and and one of their players was kicking someone on the deck, and nothing happened to him. He didn't get booked.
I know.
Forget about him. But no, I mean. If you want to talk about the situation the other day, I mean, I spoke to Jerome after the game and he summed it up. He says, look, what's happened recently? It's like when a player does something, if it's an Arsenal player, it's true the ref can't wait to get the card out. And when it's another player from another team, the ref is trying to think of a reason not to get the card out. And I think that's where we are at the moment. I think that's well summed up there. I mean, it's talking about not happening. I mean, I've seen loads of times. I can't quote the players or the matches, but I've seen it where a player does a nasty foul, horrible yellow, if you like, and he's going to get booked. It's got to be booked or send it off. It's going to look like it's going to be booked. Someone has a go in, he gets up and he just goes like that to someone. Now that could be a booking in itself. Could be a sending off to do that as well.
Yeah,
but
one
booking, right? Yeah. So there's a precedent, as you said, has never been set before, and we're the only team that's happened to. And I'm telling you, I know, and this is biasness, I admit, but I'm looking at it. I looked at it so many times. The second foul, the Wolves geezer, I know that he wasn't right, Master, and in itself it could have been a yellow, but I don't think it was 100% yellow because the guy stopped and looked.
Yeah.
He did stop and look. Now, I'm not saying Martinelli should have then stopped and said, "Oh, I better stop running," because he wanted to barge him, but the guy was looking for it. And I'm not. And it by itself, would it have been a yellow? It might have been. He got done, Martinelli, in the first half with a guy body checked him.
No yellow card.
For a referee to say to himself, "I want to give him 2 yellows now." Never been done before, but I'm going to give him 2 yellows because they were both outlandish yellow cards, which they weren't. It takes you've got to have a special mindset for that. Perhaps you want to be in the record books. When's the next Guinness Book of Records coming out? Perhaps he wants to get it in before it comes out, the next edition. You know, he might have done that. Disgraceful.
It was incredible actually when you think about it, because surely the whole point of a yellow card is called a caution, because you're warning a player if you do something like that again, you're going to get another one. But you can't then give him a warning and then give him another warning straight after when he doesn't even know he's had the first warning. It's just mental. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And the fact it's never happened before in Premier, I know it's happened. They were dragging out stuff. It's happened in other leagues and stuff, and lower down leagues, whatever it might have done. Fair enough, but it's very, very rare, and it's never ever happened in the Premier League in 30 years of the Premier League this year, isn't it? 30 years. So it's never ever happened before, and there would be plenty of opportunities that referee would have had to do that, because those sort of things happen. They're not common, but they happen in games. Don't they? We've seen them, haven't they? A player will give away a foul, the ref plays advantage, he then gives away another foul, the referee maybe books him once for one of the fouls and gives a free kick, or sometimes doesn't book him for either of them. And you've seen it happen so many times, and yet Martinelli does it, and it's like, it's just ridiculous. There's just no justification for that decision. And when because it's Arsenal, I think it makes it even more of an issue. I mean, we've had 4 red cards in the last 6 games. I'm not saying they were all bad decisions. Some of them were harsh decisions. I think we can agree that they were. Some of the yellow cards that we've had have been ridiculous yellow cards. But this isn't this isn't just now. This isn't a problem from the last 6 games. This is a problem with Arsenal for years. You know, I mean, Neil says there, since Wenger, we mentioned that. I think it's further back than that, actually. And Neil says, yeah, true, we read the points deduction. Yeah, and I think it's gone on for a long time. And Neil says, as I said before, how does he know he's booked for the first match? But he doesn't. It's like any player, isn't it? Xhaka got booked in that game quite early on, and we were all a little bit nervous, thinking, oh my God, Xhaka's on a yellow card. But what did Xhaka do after that? He managed the game really well. He knew what he couldn't do, so he pulled out a challenge. He managed the game well. And that's what players do, you know, usually. Yeah, occasionally, you know, they'll get a rush of blood to their head, but usually they do, don't they?
Richard, do you reckon, and I know what the answer is, it's a rhetorical question, had that happened in a Manchester United game, the Man United player would have been sent off? Not in a million years. There is no way ever.
Of course not.
I can't think of another team where it would have happened.
No, there isn't. There isn't another team that would have happened. Well, there hasn't been, has there? We know it has never happened before, so there wouldn't be another team that it would happen to, apart from us. And recently, you had the Gabriel one against Man City when he got those 2 yellow cards quite close together, didn't he? One, the referee literally had his yellow card out before Gabriel had even done anything to book him. Yeah. And then, you know, he didn't give him a second yellow card for what was a soft challenge. It's like other teams do not get those decisions against them so regularly as we do. Yes, occasionally other teams do. Of course they do. I'm not saying we're the only team that do, but we get them on a regular, consistent basis over a number of years. You could go back. There's hundreds and hundreds of incidents that's happened that we could pinpoint and say this is a thing that only happens to Arsenal. You know, I said it. Granit Xhaka sending off at Liverpool in the semi-final. Only an Arsenal player gets sent off for that. A Liverpool player wouldn't get sent off for doing that same challenge. No. A Man United player, no one else would have done. And we get a player. No one else would get sent off for that Martinelli one the other night. We know that because it hasn't happened before. Again, it's an Arsenal player. We get a sent off. Why is it? I can't understand what we've done in football history to warrant this kind of treatment. I mean, Adam, have you got any idea as to why it is us that seem to be on the end? We should get that T-shirt Balotelli had. Why always us? Because that's what we should wear. That should be our sponsor on our shirt. It should be, because that seems to be. But why is it? What have we done wrong? What have we done in history? What have we done wrong?
So you touched on it earlier. I think it has stemmed from the Wenger era, because Wenger did rub up referees sometimes when he was quite outspoken. The whole "I didn't see it" that never went down quite well with the referees. So I think a lot of it stems from there. But Arsenal are a very high-profile team. We always have been, whether other teams like it or not. We always will be. And I think referees now want to be in the spotlight, whether it's for something good or something bad, because they want to be memorised. Like the one on the Martinelli one was just ridiculous, and that was the rule, wasn't it? I've looked it up. It's been put many times since. Player can't be booked for a second yellow card if he's not aware of the first. That is actually in the rule.
It is.
So why has that not been overturned for a start?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, what's going on here? It's absolutely ridiculous. But then going back to the Man City game as well, that's just like the two recent ones. There is a massive agenda. I think a lot of it's to do with the refs. I mean, some of the refs who are ex-refs have come out and said that, you know, they're told to be more aware of certain players, but maybe that's extended to certain teams. I don't know. We've given up on appealing decisions now because we know that it's going to go against us. That's another big thing for me. We're not even appealing these things anymore.
No, we're not. No, it amazes me why we don't actually. But anyway,
because of that reason, because when we've appealed in the past, we just get a worse fine or another game suspension.
Yeah,
so just sod it. And it was, I think it has gone down to Wenger when Wenger did piss off. There was a time, wasn't there, when we had I think it was like, I don't know, early 2000s, when that time when Vieira was getting sent off a lot, when Wenger was very outspoken towards the officials, and he pissed off a lot of people at the FA around that time because he'd kind of come in and was quite outspoken. And I think ever since then, things have been against us in everything. Like when everything's been 50-50, it's generally gone against us. I can't remember a time over the past 10 or so years when it's been like either an appeal or a 50-50 that's gone for us. It's always gone against us. And people love to have a pop at Arsenal. Let's be fair. People love it when something goes against us. But at the same time, we love being against that. We really do. I mean, I think other fans are realising it now as well. I mean, over the past week, I've spoken to West Ham fans, Leeds fans, Spurs fans actually as well, Everton fans, who are all friends of mine. And every single one of them has now seen actually what is going on with Arsenal and the refs. Like, they don't particularly like Arsenal, but they're even now thinking this is now getting ridiculous. I remember who I worked with, a massive Leeds fan. He was very when the Man City game and the whole sending off, he thought that was ridiculous. And then as soon as Martinelli happened, he messaged me. He was like, what the F is going on here? And this is a Leeds fan. He was like hardcore Leeds fan thinking this is ridiculous because obviously he loves football. And it is getting to that stage now where I think finally other fans are sort of starting to realise that we're not just talking crap, we are actually have a basis behind it. And I think that's the only thing I can think of. It goes back to that Wenger years, but even that was a long time ago. Surely that's what we've forgotten. But that was that stat as well around that Burnley stat. Just see, like Burnley are not exactly the most fairest team in the world, but since they've had their last red card, we've had 15. It's ridiculous. Absolutely.
And I saw them at the Emirates, Adam. How they were thugs at the Emirates.
Exactly. But they've always had been like
that. They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean that actually doesn't make any sense. And Burnley, a very physical team, and they've been like that for years, a bit like Stoke used to be. How can they not have had a red card in the time that we've had about 50? This makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Law of averages would say they would get a couple in that time. I don't know what's going on. The FA hate us, or the PGMOL, whatever it is. They've really got it in for us. I don't know what we've done. We must have done something to them that we ain't sure about. That it's just, I don't know. I know
we don't like paying agents' fees, Adam. I know we don't like paying agents money. Perhaps, I'm not suggesting it's going on. I don't want to get anyone in any trouble. Perhaps we don't give brown envelopes.
Perhaps we don't. Perhaps we don't pay them enough.
Yeah.
It can only be something stupid like that. I mean, like you said earlier, like you never see United get those decisions. Liverpool, you never see get those decisions. He just doesn't. Even the media bug me. Like, certain media were saying how ridiculous it was, but even certain people in the media weren't. They were saying, "Yeah, it was 2 yellow cards." It's like, come on, what are you looking at? What are you watching?
I know.
The argument, not if it's 2 yellow cards, Adam. It's irrelevant.
No.
Yes, I could agree. You can see why I gave a yellow card for both. No, that's not
in the same play.
It's making it into a sending off. That's the point.
Exactly. That's it. No, I mean, separate decisions, you can see that. Yeah, I'm not taking away. Martinelli did do a couple of bad challenges. So, if one was in the first half, one was in the second half, we probably wouldn't be arguing that now. Let's be honest. It was the manner in which it happened.
for the second.
But would he have made the second one if he knew he had a yellow card already?
No, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have gone into rash.
Exactly.
He was still fired up from that first one. He carried on running the point. To be fair, he done well by following that ball back for an attacker. Let's be fair. He tracked that back really well. I mean, it's just silly. I mean, let's see what happens on Saturday, eh? Let's see what's next in the next chapter. Maybe it's Amazon. Maybe Amazon are all over this. Maybe Amazon have been paying the refs.
Yeah, but it's like we said, it's not just this season, though, is it, Adam? If it was just this season, I would agree that it could be something to do with that. But because it's been going on for a lot longer than that, I mean, I'm not saying that maybe isn't a part of it now. I don't know, but it obviously it's got worse.
Amazon, if you're watching, I've got no basis for what I've just said.
But if you want to give us free subscriptions to Amazon, then feel free to do so, and we'll retract our comments. that'll be great. Neil says, refs want to make names when they are involved in our games, as they're not known. Controversy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Arsenal are a great platform for them to hit the back page. Well, they are, but no one really criticises the refs, though, do they? No one really mentions the refs. They just mention that it's Arsenal, and even then, it's not. They're not mentioning it that it's wrong, are they? They're not saying, "Oh, this referee got it wrong." They're saying, "Oh, the referee was right," and Arsenal's tough luck, kind of thing. That's how it's portrayed, isn't it? No one's backing Arsenal and saying, actually, it's good to hear actually what Adam said about his friends that support other clubs that are starting to even notice it themselves now. And in the past, that hasn't happened, has it? We've moaned about decisions. Everyone said, "Oh, stop moaning." Everyone gets some, it's just typical Arsenal fans moaning about it, right? And that's what we've had for a long, long time. And it's actually interesting that there are now fans of other clubs that are starting to see that it is going on. It's clear. It's almost become to the point where no one can really deny it because it's just so obvious. And it's becoming more and more obvious every single week, it seems, at the moment, with everything that's going on. Robert says there, Michael Oliver wears the opponent's shirt under his ref's outfit against Arsenal. Well, he's not the only one, but he certainly seems to. Agree we are hated according to the press and they advertise. Yeah, I mean, we do seem to be hated by the press as well. That goes on for years as well. George Graham famously mentioned that a lot, didn't he, in his pre-match team talks and stuff about the press haters, and we need to sort of prove them wrong. And Robert says here, mind you, promotion after World War II was where the hatred came from Spurs. They hated it. Says, and I do think maybe a lot of, the FA maybe didn't like a lot of stuff that we did back in the day, but that's like 100 years ago. You know what I mean? It's not the same people there. They can't still hold the same grudges 100 years later, can they? Surely it's got to be something else. It's got to be something more recent or something that's gone on. I really don't know. I mean, Dorsey, are you starting to really, I know we've always questioned it, but you starting to really feel now that this is getting a bit out of control, out of hand? I mean, that red card on Thursday was absolutely mental.
You just got to laugh, haven't you? What else can you do? As you just said, they can't make it any more obvious. I see a stat earlier. I've got it up on my phone actually. We've actually made or committed the second least amount of fouls in the league this year. 198 fouls in 22 games, but yeah, obviously we've got more red cards than anyone else, and it's everywhere. Arsenal lose a couple of games, and then you get it from the pundits, you get it from the media. It's a huge crisis. Arteta's got to go. It's this, it's that, and everything is blown out of proportion when it comes to Arsenal, whether it be pundits or social media or just the media in general.
But only the negative things, Dorsey. Only the negative things. It's never the positive things, is it?
No, of course it's not. No, and it's I don't know. I mean, like Adam, like you just said, it is nice that I've got a load of mates that are not Arsenal fans. One Spurs, got a couple of Liverpool fans, and they're starting to say, well, I mean, especially the Martinelli one. I mean, what is that all about? I mean, I did see a clip actually of a game. I think it might have been either at the start of this season or the end of last season, but where a player was a Chelsea player. I don't know what player it was, but he blocked a free kick from being taken quickly. They managed to play on, so the ref played advantage. He came back, tripped the player went down, just a yellow card. The referee was Michael Oliver. And it's exactly the same. Yeah, I'll send it to you because I've still got it. And it's exactly the same situation. It was a set piece. He blocked the set piece, didn't allow it to take quick. He played the advantage, which he was well within his rights to do so because they got the ball. And then he just took him down, sent the circle, just a yellow card, and it was the same referee. And it's just, I mean, it beggars belief, really. I don't really know what we can do about it. The only thing that I would say, and again, I agree with everything that everyone said. We've just got to maybe just be a bit more conscious about putting ourselves in that position where we're giving the referee a decision to make. Martinelli did.
Why should we have to do that?
No, we shouldn't.
Exactly.
I'm not saying no. We're not. We shouldn't. But we don't want to be playing with 10 men every week. So we have to. We haven't got an option at the moment.
So we have to stop tackling. We have to stop making tackles in case we get sent off. And everyone else can do whatever they want to us, but we can't tackle anybody.
What I mean is,
it should be a level playing field.
Of course it is. No, I agree. I completely agree. But putting your hands up to try and block a throw, just don't do it. You're asking a decision to make. I'm not on about the tackles. I'm on about the silly decisions. I mean, individually, they're both bookings in their own right. They're two separate incidents. If you do that, you're likely to get 2 bookings. It's ridiculous, as everybody said, that it's one phase of play. He's not going to make the second tackle if he knows he's got a yellow card. 100%. He's not going to do that. And actually, Martinelli, like Adam said, he got himself in a decent position where he did stop and he did kind of force the challenge to come. But yeah, I mean, just the little things like, I mean, Arteta should be saying that don't do anything silly. Don't try and block throw-ins with your hands and push a player away. He wasn't in a dangerous position in the pitch. Just don't do that, because you're asking for trouble really with what's going against us at the minute. It's it should be a level playing field, and we shouldn't have to stop tackling, and we won't. But yeah, just those little things, just don't put yourself in that position. But I mean, it's just farcical now, isn't it? And I've seen a couple of reports over the last couple of days saying they're looking at the refereeing for next year, maybe looking at ways in which they can improve the level of officiating, because for me, it's ever since VAR's come in, it's worse than it was before. And you've got replays, you've got replay after replay after replay, and yet some of the decisions are worse than they were before. Get rid of VAR, get rid of it, because football's all about drama. You get decisions that go against you and you get ones that go for you. Just leave it as that.
We don't get them go for us. We just get them go against us regardless.
Yeah.
Whether VAR's in or not.
I mean, it's just farcical. It really is. I don't really know what we can do to kind of. Like I say, they can't make it any more obvious. If it's obvious enough that other sets of fans are maybe starting to see something, then maybe something will happen. But it's just, it's just funny at this point, really. I wasn't surprised he gave it. I really wasn't.
I mean, I actually was completely shocked, because he's got obviously after the second sort of foul, barely a foul, but it was a foul. He got his yellow card. I think, well, okay, fair enough. He's booked him for that. A little bit harsh, but there you go. And then he actually was going, "No, I'm booking you for that one, and now I'm going to book you for this one." It's like, what? That's just honestly, I've never actually known anything like it in all my life. But anyway, I suppose it is only Arsenal. James in the chat there says Jonathan Moss is a referee this weekend. He can't even keep up with the play. No, that's true. He can't. He's very unfit, isn't he, Jonathan Moss? Let's be honest. He runs like
he'll still sprint into the box when he needs to.
He runs like he's towing a caravan, doesn't he, Jonathan Moss? Like, so I don't know how he's still refereeing in the Premier League. How he's got through the fitness test. I don't know what you've got to do to pass a fitness test. Clearly, just get out of bed and stand up for 2 minutes, probably. But anyway, I don't know what's going on there. Robert says there, the Rams win financed by Arsenal Football Club. Yeah, of course, the American football, they did win the Super Bowl. Not that I'm interested in that at all. But yeah, I suppose it's quite ironic that it is the team that are financed by Arsenal, or, Stan Kroenke's other team, if you like, his main team, I guess. And Shane in the chat, Shane, he says the ref was twerking for the Wolves fans. He was fed up with time wasting and went to the punishment. Did he not book one of our players in about 60th minute?
Gabriel, I can't believe it. After the time wasting, I saw Arsenal home to Wolves, right, when it was embarrassingly frustrating. Gabriel, after about 3 seconds, he books him. I'm going, what? Is this a different game? Are we on a different planet or something? It was ridiculous. The amount of time you see Arsenal and you see they are taking the mickey out of the supporters and the referee does nothing. Play on. Gabriel, I mean, come on, it wasn't nothing like as bad. And he booked him. It just drives me mad. I'm glad you brought that up. And also, I did get confused Genuinely, I thought, what did we finance? Why have we financed something to do with Wayne Rooney? When he said about the Rams, what's that got to do with it? I didn't realise all about the American thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
all we can hope is that the club are building some kind of case. They're collating evidence. There's plenty of examples with similar incidents that don't go against other teams the way they go for us. So I can only hope that they're putting something together. That at the end of the season, they can go to the FA and just say, look, have a look at this and just tell us what you think. Just tell us what you think, because
no, I mean that's actually quite a good point. I'm not sure if we're doing that, but to me, I would rather the guy who runs our social media is constantly putting out videos of training sessions and train. Why don't you put together a video of all the terrible decisions we've had against us, put it out on social media constantly, bombard social media with all these bad decisions that we get? And yes, Arsenal will probably get fined, God knows what, if we did it, but it would be a great way of making the point, wouldn't it? And everybody then can see quite clearly, look, this is what is going on. This is what's happening against our football club now for every single week this season. And I'll say a long way before that as well. And Neil says the goalkeeper in the Burnley game, how much time wasting did he? I mean, exactly, yeah. Other teams against us can literally waste half an hour on goal kicks and nothing happens. And literally we waste 2 seconds in the game and straight away. I mean, when he booked, after it was about 60 minutes in the game, no one's time wasting after 60 minutes of a game. It's just that they just you can't book someone for time wasting that early in the game. It's just ridiculous. It's only us again. It's only us that it happens.
You can do if you're consistently wasting time. You never got a warning or nothing. Normally, the referees at Arsenal they got to warn the player 8 times. If you do it again the 9th time, I might have to book you. But this geezer, first time, bang, book straight away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is unbelievable. I don't want us to come across as like moany Arsenal fans, but unfortunately, I feel as though it's got to the point now where it has to be talked about and it has to be mentioned a lot more, not just by Arsenal fans. It needs to be mentioned by other people at other clubs, or people need to start understanding that this, it's starting to become so obvious that they're almost not even hiding it anymore. They're just almost not hiding it anymore. They're saying, actually, we don't care that that we're doing this, because it has to be, because the way they just keep throwing them out every week at the minute, it just seems it's just absolutely ridiculous.
It's not even like we've got a team of players that have got a reputation. Back in the day, you had people like Vieira, you had people like Keown that were had a bit of a screw loose every now and again, and they built themselves a reputation outside of Xhaka.
We're even too nice at the minute, aren't we? Our team's too nice, and yet we're still getting red cards right, left, and centre.
Martinelli gets shit kicked out of him week in, week out. Every game, nothing happens, and he's the guy
Saka
that gets
as
the
well.
red card.
How many times does Saka get booted every week? Every single time he gets the ball, he gets booted. They get 3 players on him, just kick him every single game. And they just get away with it. It's just, I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I guarantee you Roy Keane never got sent off as many times as Granit Xhaka has. Absolutely won't have done. And Roy Keane purposely went out to break people's legs, admitted himself. Do you know what I mean? And he never got sent off as many times as Granit Xhaka has for doing nothing. It's just, honestly, it's ridiculous. And people have got to start to wake up and realise that actually this isn't just Arsenal fans moaning. This is actually a serious issue in football. And, it might not affect your club because, you may not be bothered. But ultimately, if there's corruption going on in the game, and it's coming out and it's Arsenal that's getting on the end of it, then it puts everything into question, doesn't it? Every single part of the game.
I would say to other supporters, think about it. You might be the next club it happens to. So speak out about it, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And, and I'll say it is great what Adam said about the people that he knows that are fans of other clubs have mentioned it. I mean, I haven't really had anybody, every time I mention it, people just say, stop moaning, get on with it kind of thing, typical Arsenal fans moaning. But, if people are starting to realise now that actually it is a problem, other people are seeing it, then hopefully that's the first step on the road to something being done about it, because something needs to be done. And what the answer is, I don't think we'll ever find out, because the FA unfortunately run the game, and it's clearly them that's got some sort of problem with Arsenal for whatever reason it is. I don't know, but anyway, it's funny that you mentioned about Wenger upsetting people in the FA. I mean, Alex Ferguson must have upset loads of people in the FA, and they never really went against Man United, did they, very often? So I don't know.
Granit Xhaka's only actually got 4 red cards in the Premier League.
Really?
Wow.
Is it only 4? How many did Roy Keane get?
8.
Wow.
Oh, well, double. Well, I mean, double. I suppose he deserves at least double, didn't he? I mean, James just put in there. Oh, Roy Keane got yellow. Oh, well, I suppose he must mean red. Roy Keane's got 7. He said 7 in the league. Xhaka's currently on 4.
Oh, 7.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll bet Granit Xhaka ends up with more in the end by the time he finishes his career than Roy Keane.
I'll be at Roma next year.
Well, yeah, maybe he might be, yeah. But anyway, it's still ridiculous that he's even that close to Roy Keane. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Vieira must have got a few as well. He must have got more than 7,
I
mustn't
think
he?
he got 9, I think. 8 or 9. I think Richard Dunn's on 9. I think Vieira got 8, I think.
Yeah, he must have been up there. Yeah, James says, yeah, red cards. Yeah, we thought you meant red cards, mate. Stan's in the chat, Stan, he says, having operated by refs, is this problem? Refs officiating other refs is always doomed to fail. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, just hire and train independent people to operate VAR. That might be an answer. Yeah, have separate people to do VAR. Yeah, that could be the answer. But obviously they won't do it, will they? Because they don't want to feel as though they're treading on the referee's toes. That seems to be, you're not allowed to, are you? You can't criticise referees. The FA won't criticise them. The people running the referees, the PMOG, whatever they're called, they're not going to criticise the referees. Nobody wants to criticise them. It's only the fans that are, even we're really allowed to criticise them, because if we criticise refs too much, then, you know, we'll probably get banned from, you know, from broadcasting on YouTube or something for criticising referees too much. James said, yeah, Vieira got 8. Yeah, well, there you go. So I'm sure Granit Xhaka will soon catch him, overtake him, and that'll be ridiculous. Robert says there, throw money to legally question the FA on their theory on cards. It could expose their weakness. Well, I mean, we need to do something as a club, and maybe Dorsey's right. Maybe we are putting together some kind of case behind the scenes. It'd be great if we were, and we suddenly throw it on them at the end of the season and say, here you go. You know, we want answers to this, but I can't see that happening, if I'm honest. I just think we're just going to get on with it, and it might take other clubs from other fans to make something different happen. Maybe they need to, and other clubs, maybe the people that run in other clubs, other managers need to say something after the game. You know, I don't know, but they won't, obviously, because they've got their own interests at heart, haven't they? They don't care about Arsenal, do they? Nobody really cares except us. So I suppose that's why it's such a big issue for us and to no one else. But anyway, we're never going to solve the problem, but I just feel we need to talk about it, because it is getting to the point now where it's like, hang on a minute, something has got to be done, because it's just ridiculous. But anyway, we could talk about this forever, really, I suppose. Shane says there, when Klopp spoke about United getting penalties, they stopped. If Arteta speak about us getting red cards, he'll get a fine and a ban. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. You're right, exactly that. That's exactly what would happen. And it's happened in the past, hasn't it? You know, our managers have been fined for saying anything, and other managers get away with doing whatever they want. Robert says, yeah, we need strong athletes in midfield. They will bounce off us. Well, yeah, but they'll end up just getting red cards. That'll be pointless, really, won't it? You know, we'll end up with 9 men every single game, won't we? But anyway, there is a game actually this weekend, which hopefully won't have so many controversial decisions. So I think maybe we need to have a quick look at the game. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. It should be a good game, actually. So obviously we need to get revenge on them, don't we? First game of the season, of course, seems like a long time ago, back in the days of summer and sunshine and, you know, stuff like that. And now we're freezing to death. But anyway, it's an opportunity for us to get revenge. Brentford obviously are not going through the best run of form. They haven't won too many games lately. They're heading sort of down the table quite quickly. Their bubbles kind of burst after a good start that they had. And we know the problems that we had that first game, going into that game with COVID issues, with injuries, with all kinds of other issues going on. And no one was surprised that they beat us, I guess, you know, their first game in the Premier League and stuff like that. But it's a totally different sort of set of circumstances now. You know, we seem to have turned things around after a bad January. The Wolves performance was great. And we have generally been pretty good at the Emirates this season. So it's a good opportunity for us to build on that Wolves game with another 3 points, which would put us in a really strong position in the league. I mean, Melvin, what are you expecting from this game? I mean, I know I hate when we're playing teams that are in bad form, because they're always the games that we tend to come unstuck against. But Brentford are struggling at the minute, aren't they? I think they've been found out, quite honestly. The way that they play, it's good to watch, but I think teams have figured them out, and hopefully Arteta's figured them out, and we can go there on Saturday and get the result.
Yeah, I mean, it's like chalk and cheese, isn't it, from where we were beginning of the season when we played them first game of the season. Yeah. I mean, that was horrendous. Normally, first game of the season, you're buzzing, you can't wait. We had a couple of new signings in the team, and everything went. They bullied us, didn't they, basically? They bullied us. And I think that I was worried, like a few of us might have been after the game, about Ben White cannot head a ball, but that's finished. He can head a ball. that was just one of those games where everything. It was the wrong atmosphere. Yes, we had a few players out injured, and the ones that were playing perhaps weren't 100% fit for reasons we found out later. This is completely different. It's a shame we weren't playing them. Well, we're playing them 8 days, is it, since the last game? We're playing Brentford. It works out. That's good enough. The momentum can keep going. I think we've got a lot of momentum now. We believe it. As you say, the team's together. As long as we just go out there and don't be frightened to lose. Just for some reason, sometimes we're frightened to lose rather than go to win. If we can get when we get a goal, even if we're at home, we seem to go back a bit sometimes. Like scared. If we're not scared to let a goal in when it's 0-0, why are we scared of letting a goal when it's 1-0? I don't understand that. Can't get around that. But listen, I'm expecting a win. I don't care about the referee, whatever he does. I'm expecting. I can't use that as an excuse. I hope that Brentford, the form they're in and what we've got going for us, I expect us to win and comfortably. I think Smith Rowe will probably play instead of Martinelli on the left, and that might be a good thing. It opens the left-hand side a little bit more for Tierney. I think he probably plays slightly better, Smith Rowe, on the left, because he sometimes cuts inside a bit more, allows Tierney to overlap. I'm not going to go at Martinelli. I think he's brilliant, but I just think he seems to work a little bit better with Smith Rowe on the left sometimes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. And Jerome's over here this week. He's actually on his way over here now, and I'm going with him and my other son Craig, and I can't wait. I just cannot wait. There'll be a great atmosphere, I reckon. They get a great shout when they come out. You know, it's a bit of the crowd has been really good to Arsenal the last few months. Really good. Even the Burnley game, it was more frustration at the Burnley than it was at Arsenal, I felt. And we've got players to do it. I mean, it's very important, obviously, if Lacazette can play and put the ball in the net. He missed 3 good chances on the other day. He missed one with his head, 2 with his feet. That header he should have done better. He didn't even touch the ball.
No, he pulled away. He always pulled away from it, didn't he?
Yeah. Minute. I mean, he's got to basically get some goals now. He's got to start putting 1 or 2s in every so often, because we need that. We can't play with a they call it a centre forward. What do they call it? A withdrawn centre forward.
False nine.
Oh, what is it?
False 9.
Yeah, false 9. He's a false striker, really. No, a false 9. He's a striker that scores goals. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, and for me, it's a sort of game, actually, the way that Brentford play, they're not a particularly defensive team, are they? They do tend to play on the front foot. They like to attack, get the ball forward, and that may well play into hands. I mean, they may play slightly different tactics against us, knowing that, they'll want to try and stop us scoring. But, yeah, I think it could be potentially the sort of game that's going to work in our favour, just the way that Brentford set up their team, and the way that they do play an attacking style, and it may well help us to, we struggle more, don't we, when teams come to the Emirates and get everyone behind the ball, as Burnley did. We find it difficult to break them down. I don't think Brentford will do that. I think they'll be not too open, but I think they'll be a little bit more open than perhaps other teams that come to the Emirates will. And I think ultimately we may concede a goal or 2, but I think we'll score a few as well. So it could be quite a good game to watch. I mean, Adam, what are you anticipating from Brentford? Because they need some points, actually, because they're heading the ball's at relegation zone, aren't they? And a few teams at the bottom are picking points up and catching them up, and they could be sucked in, couldn't they?
Well, it's true. Like, Newcastle, even Norwich have won a few lately. Everton won the weekend, so they are getting dragged down. I expect a very different performance from us than the first day of the season. I mean, I looked at the starting lineup from the first day of the season earlier. I only expect 4 of those players to start on Saturday, who were in the starting lineup against Brentford at the first day of the season, because we had players missing through fitness and whatever it was, injuries.
We haven't signed a couple of them either at that point, have we?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them weren't even signed. I mean, I think from the starting lineup I saw, I expect White, Tierney, I think it was Smith Rowe and Xhaka. The rest of them were, have either left the club now or just not being picked. So it'll be very different. But I do think Brentford will try to frustrate us. I don't quite think they've got the same players as someone like Burnley to be able to do it as effectively, though, which could play in our hands, because the players they've got are set up to play a certain way. And I think you're right, they have been found out more recently. You know, it's always the same when a new team comes up, they get that kind of bounce. Teams are not quite used to them. But past month or so, they have kind of really struggled, I think, and they've struggled to kind of, do anything, up top. So I think I do think that they will probably try to be a bit more conservative against us. But we should have enough. We should definitely have enough to get through. And I think, again, if we go at them and try and get a goal early, we could score a few, I hope. That's what I expect. I think, like Melvin said, with Martinelli being suspended, Smith Rowe will come back in. And I think I expect performance from him, because this is a chance for him now to cement his place back. So if he goes on the left, Odegaard in the middle, Lacazette, Saka, this is Smith Rowe's chance now to sort of get back in that team and cement himself again. So I expect a big performance from him. And I think, Tierney does work better with Smith Rowe on that left-hand side, mainly because they've probably done it more often than Martinelli and Tierney. So I do think that that's where we'll get a lot of joy as well, hopefully down that side. But, I've been quite impressed with Brentford, to be fair, this season. I think they've been, quite, a breath of fresh air. They've been attacking teams. They've got some good results, but we should have too much for them, and it's a game we have to win, given the positions and the results from other teams at the moment. Other teams around us are just dropping points. We have to win these games. We've got really tough games coming up beyond that. So it's vitally important that we do get a good result against them. And I do expect a pretty positive win.
Yeah, it's definitely an important game, no doubt about that. James says there, I spot on Melvin Tierney will play better with Smith at the weekend. Yeah, they do tend to link up pretty well. And Neil says, I totally agree, Melvin. The atmosphere this season has been very good, certainly better than in recent years. I think that's true enough to say. Tom says there, the boys were good at Burnley, always cheering. The result didn't mirror the fans, still keep moving forward. So, yeah, I mean, it is a really important game, a big game that we need to win. And I think it's a good team for us to be playing because of the form that they are on and the style of football that they tend to play. I think that's actually good news for us. I mean, what are you thinking, Dorsey? Or do you think, maybe as Adam said there, do you think Brentford will be a little bit more conservative in the way that they play? They drew 3-3 with Liverpool, for example, stuff like that. They're very open. They don't mind conceding a goal, knowing that they can probably score. Do you think they'll come with that kind of mindset, or do you think they will be the fact that they are getting dragged in, that they need to pick some points up from somewhere?
I don't think they'll change the way they play. Actually, I think they've got a very set style of football, which has helped them get a decent amount of points at the start of the season. I'll be surprised. I mean, if they've not changed it against better teams than Arsenal, then I can't see them. I understand the fact that they are getting dragged into a bit of a fight down there, but yeah, I haven't seen much of Brentford to suggest that they've really got another way of playing. I think that is the way they play, and I fully expect them to play like that Saturday. I put it on my social media yesterday. I think we're not going to have a better opportunity this season to really make a claim for that fourth spot, because we've got. I actually think the result against Wolves has gone under the radar in the sense that's a huge result for us coming off the January that we've had. And going away to a team that have won their last six their last six league games, and we've gone there, kept a clean sheet, and picked up 3 points, playing a portion of the game with 10 men. That's huge. And now we've got 2 home games against Brentford and Wolves again. If we win that, given all of the other results, I don't know what the United score is tonight, but given the other result,
0-0 at the moment.
Is it? I mean, given the other results that they've all gone our way, haven't they? They've literally all gone our way this year. It was a shame that West Ham picked up that equaliser right at the death against Leicester. But I mean, listen, he's got to be sitting there saying, "Look, boys, this is it. This is the opportunity to really stake a claim for that fourth place. You've picked up a really good 3 points against Wolves away. You've got Brentford and Wolves at home. That puts us fourth, clear of all the other teams. Still a game in hand over West Ham. I mean, it's huge, and I agree with the other two lads that I do fully expect us to win it. I'm hoping it's comfortable. It'd be nice to get a comfortable win, 2-3-0 maybe, get a few more goals and just get a bit of confidence up in front of goal. I actually think it's not doing us a favour, Martinelli being suspended, but having Smith Rowe coming in, I actually think that when he's back, you may well see him play through the middle. I've read a lot of reports saying that he's in training, he's playing as a number 9, he's playing through the middle. And I can guarantee we were talking about it earlier about having a lack of runners. If he's playing down the middle, he is making runs all day long. And if you've got people like Smith Rowe, Saka, Odegaard behind him, one of them three will find him. Yeah. One of them three will find him. So, listen, I like Lacazette. I do. I probably wouldn't be looking to offer him a new deal come the end of the season. I'd probably let him go for free and look to really reinvest that money. But I like him. I like what he's done for the club. He's always been a good influence. He's never been a pain, has he? He's always done all right. So I've got a lot of time for Lacazette, and I like what he's done in his Arsenal career. But yeah, I think I would like to see Martinelli be given a few games. He's not going to score any less goals than Lacazette is scoring, is he? So no. So if Smith Rowe comes in, if he has a good game, if Odegaard has a good game, no reason to drop either of them. So unless Lacazette goes and gets a hat trick, then for me, I'd maybe look to bring Martinelli in against Wolves through the middle, and just, it's a home game. You've got to try it at some point because we haven't got many options up top. So I would like to see that be given a go. But yeah, I'm confident going into the Brentford game. I don't see much them doing anything differently to what they've done all season, which in theory should play into our hands. We can try and play and get a few goals, which would be nice. But it's a huge opportunity next couple of weeks. We've got good rest in between the games as well, so there's no excuse for tiredness or lack of fitness. So let's go for it. Let's do it.
Tommy's back. I think Tommy's back this weekend, isn't he?
He's back in training, yeah. So whether or not he plays or not.
Great news.
Yeah. Fantastic news.
Neil says there we have such a great opportunity to make huge strides to clinch fourth. Yeah, we do. Yeah. And he says also ESR will score this weekend. Yeah, I mean, let's hope he does. He's certainly due a goal, isn't he? Adam just disappeared. He's back again now. I will just move you back to your normal space as well. There you go. So, Robert Sports thinking out of you for what would be your next team sheet? He says, including subs. I mean, personally, I wouldn't really change too much. Obviously, Martinelli's out. Smith Rowe's going to come in there. If Tomiyasu's fit, you'd expect him to come in at right back. And other than that, that's pretty much going to be the team, I would imagine, isn't it? I mean,
we haven't got enough players to make too many changes, have we?
Not really.
It's itself right now, doesn't it? So
pretty much.
But we only had 15 players, to be honest, and that was it.
Exactly, yeah. So everyone who's fit plays or on the bench. So yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I only think those two changes to the starting lineup probably would be, like I say, obviously Smith Rowe in for Martinelli and Tomiyasu probably in for Cedric, and the others as they were, really. I don't see any reason to change it. We've had, like you said, 10 days between games. It's not like people need to be rested. You know, I think Cedric will be unlucky actually not to keep his place. I thought he played well, but if Tomiyasu was fit, you'd probably stick him in, wouldn't you? I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually would be tempted to leave Cedric in for one more game and just give Tommy another week to get some more fitness and maybe and then bring him in against Wolves at home, because really we should be beating Brentford whether Cedric plays or Tomiyasu plays, really. So
maybe that's just, I mean, Cedric probably deserves another opportunity anyway, because I thought he played well. The other day. Robert says there, no Pepe. Well, I mean, Pepe's just not getting a chance, is he? You look at the game against Wolves when he brought Nketiah on and Pepe was stuck on the bench. He clearly isn't going to play Pepe, is he, anymore? For whatever reason, he's not going to pick him. He's doing an Ozil with him, isn't he? Putting him on the bench and not picking him for weeks, and then eventually he'll just get rid of him probably. Neil says there, if Tommy has a blinder, we'll win if he plays, of course. Well, I mean, I don't think it's just about Tommy, is it? I think they will all need to play well. I both need a score prediction of Melvin. What are you thinking? What's your score prediction for the Brentford game?
I'm being a bit gung-ho here, gentlemen. 3-0.
Well, 3-0 will be good. That's a decent enough score. I get 2-0 Brentford at home, isn't it? Adam, what are you thinking?
2-0. A bit more reserved.
2-0. We're not scoring many goals, to be fair. Dorsey, what are you thinking?
Do you know what? I don't like doing these predictions. I don't like it because we always shoot ourselves in the foot doing them. You should just leave the Arsenal games out and we just predict the others. 2-0. 2-0,
yeah. I mean, 2-0. I actually got a feeling, and I don't know why. It's coming into me quite a bit of time I think about this. It's got the feeling of that game we had against Leeds at home last season, when Leeds played quite an open style of football, and we won that game 4-2. If you remember, we were 4-0 up, and they got 2 goals back. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a similar sort of game to that. I can't see how we're going to score 4 goals in one game when we haven't scored more than one since New Year's Day. But anyway, I've got a feeling it might be a strange game with a few goals in it. So I'm actually going to go 4-2, just because I actually feel that I've just got this Leeds vibe from last season. Neil's gone 5-1. Well, yeah, I mean, why not? I don't know who's going to score them goals. Eddie and Ketia might come off the bench and get a couple, maybe.
Which Lacazette get 5.
Well, he probably will, yeah. And then that'll be him in the team forever.
You've seen a fly go past my window, Richard.
Sorry?
Just seen a fly past my window.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. He might get 5 goals the rest of the season, maybe, not in one game. Robert says there, Martinelli was consistently on the bench after his fantastic goal and fall. Ryan Wallop, he was on the bench for it. No, he was on the bench for ages. Martinelli was, yeah. But he, that was to do with an injury and him integrating him back into the team, maybe. I just think with Pepe, it's completely different. He's had opportunity to bring Pepe on in games and he hasn't done. And I think that says it all, really. And I thought that Wolves game was the final straw for Pepe for me. If he wasn't going to get on at that point, when he brought Nketiah on instead, to me that was it. That was him saying, "Sorry, mate, that's you done."
I don't think he's done enough to justify getting picked. Really,
he hasn't.
No, he probably hasn't. I mean, he did score 16 goals last season. Actually, to be fair, he was a second top scorer, but he hasn't really played much this season, has he? Yes, he hasn't. When he's played, he hasn't done particularly well. I agree, and I've never really thought he was the answer, but. When we're struggling for goals, and he can offer a goal, can't he, Pepe? He can. However bad he might be playing in the game, he's always got something about him. He can get a goal or two. And at this moment in time, when we have been struggling for goals, why not give him minutes on the pitch? I'm not saying start him in the game, but certainly bring him on sometimes. Surely you've got to think about it. I know he's been away.
He'll get minutes between now and the end of the season. But he's just got to take him.
What I don't understand is, what you get with Eddie, right? Not a lot, with all due respect. What is the downside in putting Pepe in that position with 10 minutes to go instead of Eddie? Why is he picking Eddie in front of Pepe? I don't understand. One's a proven goal scorer in the highest level, and Eddie isn't. He scores lots of goals in the League Cup. I give him that. But at the top level, Eddie doesn't do it. And Pepe can do it. Not consistent enough, I agree. But he can do it, where Eddie can't do it at all.
It does baffle me what Arteta sees in Nketiah. It does baffle me.
Yeah, it baffles me as well. I don't understand what's he must be doing a lot of good stuff in training, maybe, or I don't know. Maybe he brings Arteta an apple every morning or something. I don't know. He must be doing something.
By the way, United are 1 up.
Yeah, Ronaldo just scored.
Brighton have got players sent off as well.
Oh, well, what a surprise!
2 yellow cards in one phase of play, was it?
Imagine if it was. They've been listening to us. James says they're 3-0 to Arsenal. He thinks Neil's been having too much sugar in his drinks to go 5-1. Yeah, to be fair, we haven't scored 5 goals in the last probably 6 games put together. Robert says, you don't play, you don't score. Well, obviously not. No, he can't score if he's not playing. And Neil says, my diet is nothing but sugar. Well, there you go then. And Tom says, I hope it is 5-1, but I'm not sure where the goals will come from. Yeah, we said that before. I go for 2-0. Depends what team turns up, as always. Yeah, that's true. It does to a certain degree. And Robert says, Melvin, totally agree. Indeed. James says, too many blue smarties, Neil. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, you need to cut them out of it. And at the end of the day, I'll take a 1-0. Yeah, we'll all take a 1-0, as we said before. 1-0 till the end of the season will do. Tom says, I always worry when Eddie comes on. He doesn't bring anything to the team. No, he certainly doesn't bring anything to the team at all. Robert says, give Pepe some of your sugar. Yeah, maybe that's what he needs. I don't know. Although he'd be running up and down the touchline, can't get on the pitch. So I'm not sure whether that's going to help him too much at the minute. And Neil says, blue smarties, better update that Tesco card. Indeed, you better. Yeah, quickly before the van leaves the shop. What I want to do before we finish, actually, it's looking like, we obviously mentioned Man United playing tonight, all the results that went our way at the weekend. Just really wanted to look at how we see this race for the top 4 kind of building between now and the end of the season. It's looking like it's going to be quite exciting, actually. I mean, it's funny really, because at the moment, I think it's very difficult to say or to pick who might be favourites to finish in that 4th spot. it's very difficult to pick because nobody's managed to put together this consistent run of results. Everyone seems to be dropping points. We had a poor run before we beat Wolves, and West Ham have been hit and miss. They've been getting results. Man United are struggling. Tottenham are struggling. Everybody seems to be dropping points right, left, and centre. So, who do we think? I mean, obviously, we want to get that place done. We want it to be Arsenal that gets that full spot. But realistically, when we look at the fixtures, we've got some really tough away games, haven't we? West Ham away, Tottenham away, Chelsea away, Southampton away. Games that we always tend to find difficult. Everybody else has got tough games as well. That's the way it is. But how do you see it playing out, Melvin? Looking at the inconsistencies everybody's showing, can we actually do it? And if we do, how do you think we're going to be able to get it over the line?
I think we can do it, but it's basically it's such a strange season. It's how the others do. I don't like saying it depends how the others do, but it does. We're in this position, you've got to remember, not because we've been brilliant this season. On another season, we'd be eighth, wouldn't we? The points we've accumulated and where we are, because West Ham could have easily been 10 points ahead of us by now if they hadn't blown it. Same, United have had a bad run. Spurs have had a shocking run. They've lost 3 games on the spin. Without that, we wouldn't be talking about, with the same results we've got and the same performances we've had, we wouldn't be talking about this. It's a lot to do with what the other clubs have been doing, and they've really been messing it up. So, and let's hope for once, we don't normally do this, take advantage. If we can take advantage of the other people's deficiencies, then I think we get there. But it's a big if.
Yeah, and I mean, we've still got to play all those teams around us, haven't we? We've got to play Man U at home, West Ham away, Chelsea. We've got to play Wolves at home again. So we've got all those teams around us still to play a second time. And they're going to be the games, aren't they? If we can get decent results in all of those games, pick up points, then that's going to put us as massive favourites. But at the moment, who are you favouring, Adam? Who do you think is the favourite to finish in that fourth spot? As things stand at the moment with the number of... I know it's difficult because teams have played different games and what have you, but who would be your favourite at the moment if you had to pick one?
I'd have to go with us. I would back us purely because of, like you said, I think after tonight's, even if Man United win, we've got 3 games in it and over United. And that don't mean nothing. And I know we've got difficult games, but everyone's got difficult games. Everyone's got to play each other pretty much. And I've got to back us given the fact that we don't really have anything else to play for. This should be our, the things that we're concentrating on. Other teams around us do have competitions that they're still in. Wolves don't, I don't think, but most of the others will do because, they're still in cup competitions, so they'll have more games. So we don't really have any excuse not to kind of go for it. I think the next 4 games, looking at the fixtures, is going to be pivotal for us. But even if we don't get full points, which I don't think we will, I still, like Melvin says, I think all you said, I still fancy other teams to slip up as well. It's between maybe 4 or 5 clubs, let's be honest. I mean, I still think West Ham look good, even if they do again suffer a bad result. I think that they bounce back. I think United have got too many dodgy results in. They draw quite a lot, don't they? United. I don't think they've lost as many as us, but I think they've drawn more than us. And I'm not convinced by them at all when I watch them play. Not at all. I think if anything, Ronaldo is a hindrance to them in many respects. They try and kind of pigeonhole him in where he doesn't really fit anymore. It'll be interesting. I mean, let's be honest, it might be the only thing that's going to be interesting in the league in the closing kind of few weeks because relegation's getting cast aside. Top 3, Man City are well ahead. Liverpool, Chelsea are pretty much there. So it could be the only interesting thing that's going to go on. I mean, obviously Spurs were getting arrogant for a while, thinking they were going to do it. And, 3 games in there and they managed to drop a place, which was always nice to see. But everyone knew that the wheels were going to fall off them sooner or later with Conte. So that was quite good. But I've got to back us. And I do think that we potentially are favourites. If we can get through, if we can get maximum points from Brentford and Wolves at home, I think that will set us up in a really good position. So let's hope we are.
Well, yeah, that'll be 3 wins in a row. At this point in the season, that's always going to be a great run to be on, especially when everyone else is falling by the wayside. I mean, it does seem to be, doesn't it? 1 from 5 for that 4th spot, isn't it? Obviously, us, West Ham, Spurs, United, and possibly Wolves are still in there. That points-wise, that they're still in with a shout, aren't they? So It's 1 from 5. It's a really exciting kind of race, actually. It is more exciting than the title race because that's over and done with. You know, there's still a little bit of relegation issues to be sorted out. It's quite tight at the bottom with a few teams, but this race for a 4th spot actually looks to be, as Adam rightly said, probably the most interesting thing that's going to go on in the Premier League for the rest of the season. And we're heavily involved in it, are we? Do you think, I know you're always kind of quite positive about things, do you realistically think that we're going to be able to do it on our own? Yeah, we're going to have to rely on something, but we've got to play everybody around us. If we get those results, we're there, aren't we?
Do you know what? I don't often find myself disagreeing with Melvin, but I do tonight. And we deserve to be. I don't think the league table ever lies, right? We got similar points to all of the teams around us, and we got 3 games in hand over some of them. So for me, we absolutely deserve to be in that fight. You know, we've been inconsistent, the same as all the other teams around us. All of Spurs, United, we've mentioned them all. They've all been inconsistent. I don't see any reason. We got 2 games now over Chelsea. We win those. We're 2 points behind Chelsea. So people say people are running away with it. We deserve to be where we are, and we are absolutely in that fight for that 4th place, and justifiably so. So I'm the same as Adam. I do think the next 3-4 games, and especially those games in hand, are absolutely vital to see. Once we're all on 27, 28, 29 games, once we're all settled down in terms of the games being played, then we'll have a better picture of where we are. But like Adam said, the fact is we've got a game a week between now and the end of the season. We've got a small squad. I do have some concerns about scoring goals from now until the end of the season. That's the only reason why I'm not really putting my hat on us getting that 4th spot. But we're in it, and there's absolutely no reason why, if we can't string a few results together. And you said it at the start, Rich. It is all about who is going to be the most consistent. Yeah, and that's what it's going to boil down to, because we win those 3 games now, and I've got the table here in front of me. We go on to 47 points if we win those 3 games in hand. So we're 4 points above United, 6 points above West Ham. You know, that's huge if we can win those games in hand. So I'm not getting carried away, because we all know what can happen with Arsenal. We can throw in a couple of crappy results here and there, and it tends to, the wheels tend to come off a little bit more than they do so with other teams. If we have 1 bad result, then sometimes it can turn into 2 and 3 bad results, which then really will affect us. But hopefully for once, we can really capitalise on an opportunity that we've been given to really stake a claim. Because I think if we win those games in the hand, then it's ours to lose. It's just a fact if we win those games in hand, because we'll have more points than all the other teams around us. So I guess we've got to be confident. We've got to go into it with a little bit of confidence. But I'm a strong believer that the league table never lies at any point in the season. You're where you are because you've accumulated more points than anyone else or the teams that are below you. So it is what it is. And yes, we've got tough games. So has everyone else. Spurs have got to go away to City. They've got to go away to Chelsea. I think they've got to go away to Liverpool as well. So there's none of those teams that are in and around that are not going to have tough games.
No, they have, but I think the difference maybe is Tottenham actually got a decent record away at Man City. They've got a decent record against Liverpool. We've got a terrible record away at Spurs, a terrible record away at Chelsea, a terrible record away at West Ham recently. So these are, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that other teams haven't got tough games. We've got tough games. The Southampton away is a tough game for us because we never do very well there. We've got some of our most toughest games historically that we've had in the season, and we've got them all to play in these important games. They're all against teams that are in and around us in the table as well. You know, United at home, we never do particularly well against United at home, do we? So, you know, these are all games that we've got to overcome history as well as obviously the team on the pitch. And although everyone's got to play each other, you know, certain teams have better records against some of the bigger teams what we do.
Yeah,
and I do think that's.
I get that. I
don't understand how that works because, you know, we haven't won away. Well, I know last season we won away at Chelsea, but that was the first time we've won away there for years. We haven't won away at Tottenham for years. Totally different players, and yet we still go there every year and we still can't win. We haven't won at Man United for years, did we, until last season? And I don't know. I don't understand how these runs work, but they seem to. And I don't know. I hope that isn't going to make any difference. I hope that each game will just how we play on the day and we can win all of them. potentially.
But you've mentioned 2 results there, away at Old Trafford and away at Chelsea, that we've gone there and we've got a result on the last couple of years. So maybe we are a different team.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, slowly but surely we're overcoming these barriers. And I'm not saying we're gonna go away and pick up points to all the big teams away from home, but I struggle to remember too many games where we've not at least competed. I know in some instances there's a couple of games where we've got beaten convincingly, but there's other games where normally we would get beat convincingly. And at least we've put in a good account of ourselves. So yeah. If we can turn a couple of those into a draw where we would normally lose, then
exactly. I think that's what it's about, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah.
James says there, Basuma shocking for that United goal. He'll fit in at Arsenal playing like that. I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't been sent. He's not the one who's been sent off actually. But anyway, and Neil says there, Martinelli will come back from suspension and will shine. I actually, this comment from Robert's quite funny actually. He says, Pepe, sorry, he always does look stoned. He says, sorry, Pepe, singing, and then I got high. And I can't get it out of my head now since I read that comment, actually, that song. So that's pretty funny. But anyway, so, yes. Neil says, United have been shocking. Can't believe they are still knocking on the 4th spot's door. Well, that seems to have been the case for the last few years. They always seem to be terrible, and yet they finished 2nd last year. Or was it last year or a year before, whatever it was? And they always seem to get the results and end up in the top 4, don't they? I don't know how they do it, actually. Robert says Martinelli needs to look around him as he's a bit greedy at times. He needs to realise he's not a lone hero. He tries damn hard, but could make his life easier by using Tierney and Smith Rowe, Saka. Yeah, he can be a little bit sometimes. Neil says, I agree, Robert, but I feel he'll learn. And then the goals and assists will flow. Yeah, I'm sure he definitely is going to get better, isn't he? And Neil says, rightly so, we have no distractions. Treat each game as a cup final. Well, just treat each game like a game that you need to win to get in the top 4. That's what we need to do, quite honestly. Just win them as many as we can. If we do that, we'll be fine. Neil agrees with Dorsey there. He says the league table never lies unless you're Spurs and come 3rd in a 2-horse race. Yeah, we didn't really lie, did it? They came 3rd because they were 3rd. And that was it. That's how it goes, really. Robert says there are no soft games, really. Burnley proves that. We have to take each team on a level. Yeah, no, we do. You're absolutely right. Thinking we're going to win games, false mood and their mistakes. I agree with you, totally. I mean, we can't take any game for granted. Even this Brentford game at home, we should be favourites to win, but you know, it could be a potentially tricky game. But yeah, no, we've got ourselves in a good position at this point, which I don't think any of us would have expected, certainly the first few games of the season when we were at the bottom of the league. So I think we've got to, be delighted with how the season's planning out, how it's been panning out so far. But this is the big time, I kind of, I like Dozzy's positives, and if we win our games in hand, but it's not always that simple. Spurs had 3 games in hand, and look where it's ended up.
Oh no, it's always a big if. I'd much rather have the points on the board than have the games in hand. Of course you would, but it's but yeah, just using it as an opportunity. Hopefully that we can pick up some points. But
and I think that's what we need to try and do. Pick up as many points as we can every game, and if I say that those 4 games against, I think, Wolves, Man United, West Ham, and Spurs are going to probably decide it for us. If we get some decent results and a couple of wins in them games, I think we'll probably do it. If we lose them all, then I think we're going to really struggle, aren't we? And either could happen, let's be honest, as we've seen this season. Shane says Erdegaard's playing well. He is. I think he'll be our captain next season. Well, I know Arteta's been sort of bigging him up, hasn't he, for captaincy, so that could well be the reason when Lacazette goes. And Robert says we are the champions. We need this in our heads like the good old days. We haven't been the champions for a long time, but I'd like to be able to sing that one day again. I think it might be a while yet, but anyway, let's get in the top 4 first and build from there. Maybe then we can hopefully spend a bit more money and have a bigger budget and stuff like that and move forward. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to have a better chance of getting in the top 4 certainly in the last few years than we have this season now, are we? With other teams not being consistent and us maybe we're in there, aren't we? We've got the games in hand. We need to pick up some points, and who knows? I think it would be. I heard somebody say the other day that maybe this would be a year ahead of schedule for us to be in the top 4, that maybe next year was what we've been planning for with the young players and stuff. And maybe that's true. But getting there a year early could actually be the thing that we need to really push on from here and move forward a bit quicker than we maybe hoped. Instead of it taking 4 or 5 years, if we can do it in 2 or 3 to really be challenging again for things like the Premier League title and other stuff. I mean, I think that's all we want, isn't it? Just to be able to think that we've got a chance of competing. I know Man City are miles ahead of everybody else at the minute, and I don't think there's much chance of that. But Pep's going to leave soon. They're going to have to rebuild. Who knows? And we need to be ready when these things happen to challenge. Leicester won the league. everything fell right for them. We've got the opportunity for things to fall into place for us, a young team, a couple more good signings, a goal scorer, and maybe that's where we're going to go with it. We'll have to see. But yeah, let's hope we're in the race for the top 4 in going into sort of February time of the season, and let's hope that we get good results the next few games, and when it really starts to matter in April, that we're there competing for it, and that's all we can hope for, isn't it? And if we get there, it'd be fantastic, and it would be a good turnaround for the season. I wouldn't thought too many bottom in the way that we were, not even scored a goal earlier in the season to come back and finish top 4. So that would be fantastic. So yeah, great stuff as always. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for your contributions again tonight. It's been fantastic, and not really many games that we've played, but still loads and loads of things to talk about, which has been good. Lots of controversy as always, and of course a game to look forward to as well at the weekend. A Saturday game actually, which is quite unusual. We don't play too often on Saturday, do we? 3 o'clock as well, isn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah, so 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Even more unusual that we're playing at 3 o'clock on Saturday for a change, but it'd be nice to get a game in as well. Melvin, thank you very much. You enjoyed the show?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thanks. Really enjoyed it. It was good. Some good discussion. Get a few things off my chest. I can now breathe easy. Yeah, nice and relaxed.
Yes, we like a Tuesday. We like a Tuesday clinic because we're always relaxing. It calms us down for the rest of the week before building to the crescendo at the weekend of the next game, which is bound to give us a lot more stress as well, I suppose. But anyway, and where can people find you, Melvin, on the old socials?
Just on Twitter, really. Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Master, so the only place you'll find me. With a few little comments, that's all, really. So, oh dear, come roll on Saturday.
Indeed, and Neil says, "Yeah, thanks so much, amazing show, well done, take care." Oh yeah, I was just going to come to Adam, and he's just disappeared again. His internet's is quite temperamental, actually, isn't it? He needs to get his internet sorted out. He's back again. We have to put him back in his normal spot again because he can't be over there because it confuses me. Adam, enjoyed the show?
Yes, I feel now that my week is back on track. Last week it felt a little bit off kilter, so it's good to be on the level again. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that, boys, and let's hope we can get a good result on Saturday.
Indeed, let's hope we can, and I'm sure it'll be a good show next week if we do. Where can people find you as well, Adam, on the socials, etc.?
Yeah, find me on Twitter and here most Tuesdays. Adam Always Arsenal at Adam79 2001.
Fantastic. And Dorsey as well in your nice new top. You enjoyed the show?
Always, mate. Always. It's always a bit more enjoyable when we got 3 points and a few other results that make you feel a bit better as well, which is always nice. So, no, it was good to have a chat about the game and some of the silly decisions that are still going against us. Good to get that off our chest. But looking forward now. Looking forward to the next few games and just take one at a time. Get 3 points against Brentford and just see where it takes us from there, one step at a time. But really enjoyed the show. Yeah, thanks for having me on again. It was good to see you boys as always.
It's always a pleasure. And where can people find you, Dorsey, as well?
Yeah, just on Twitter. You can see my handle there at Dorsey2801. Head over, come and say hello.
Fantastic. And Neil says in the chat there, always aim high, even if you feel you're not ready. And you can't win it if you're not in it. Well, that's true. That's very true. You can't win it if you're not in it, no. I mean, I'm not quite sure we're ready to win the Champions League. Should we qualify for it? But anyway, as you said, you've got to be in it to have a chance. So let's try and get there, first of all. That's the main thing. Robert says, pleasure to meet you guys. Yeah, thanks for tuning in again, Robert. I know you've been in the and stuff that we've been doing, which is great. He says, I love the gun facing the arse. Of course, yeah, we like the gun facing that way as well. So my Dorsey wears the old shirts as well. It's what we like to see. And of course, we always have the cannon the right way around, the proper way, as we like to say. Tom says, it was good to see you all. Maybe see you Saturday if any one of you are around. Yeah, I think you're going out in Melvin.
Yeah, I'll be there. Michael Jackson,
Adam?
I'll be there. Yeah.
Are you going, Adam, as well on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm there Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Not me, but I want to get to a game before the end of the season. So if either of you boys have any tickets going to any home games between now and the end of the season, give me a shout. Because first of all, love to have a beer with you properly. But yeah, I'd love to get to a game before the end of the season. Not Saturday, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we'll be good. I'm actually coming to the Emirates in next month actually for the Arsenal women against Tottenham. So that's going to be good. So that should be a good game. So a bit of a North London derby. That's Arsenal women chasing the title actually. So that's all good stuff. So anyway, I will be back on, what day are we on? Tuesday, probably Friday actually next time for the Arsenal Women's Show. Looking back on that big game against Chelsea last week and the exciting run into the title race in the WSL for the Arsenal women. That's going to be good. So the usual guys will be on there on Friday at 7:30. So please join me for that. And then of course on Saturday, Arsenal against Brentford, the big watch along. Hopefully it'll be a good win as well for Arsenal, as we said, and keep our little run going, get ourselves really in that mix for that top four. You know, we need to keep picking up the points, don't we? So join me for that on Saturday as well. Thanks to all you guys in the chat tonight. There's been some good comments there, and I still can't get that song until I got high out of my head now since Robert mentioned it. It's just, I'll be singing that all day tomorrow at work probably as well. Annoy everybody, but anyway, it's good stuff. That was great stuff. So thanks all you guys for watching. Please give it a like before you go if you haven't done so. Please subscribe as well. I did beat the record on the channel actually on the Friday watch along for the Chelsea Arsenal women's game. Over 4,000 people watched that, which is incredible. So thanks to everybody for your support of the channel. We're getting towards 1,000 subscribers as well. Hopefully by the end of the season we'll get there, which will be good. And then we can all go out for a beer then, because I'll have a bit of money from the channel, which will be nice. And can treat everyone the show. So we'll have to do that when we get to 1,000. So that'd be nice. But anyway, thanks to everyone for watching. Obviously, thanks to Melvin as always, Adam, and of course Dorsey as well. And we will see you all obviously next Tuesday for the Tuesday clinic. I'll be back Friday for the women, and obviously the watch along on Saturday as well. Enjoy the rest of the week, guys. We've got a smile on our face this week because it's always nice when we win. And let's hope we've got a few more smiles before now and the end of the season. And in May, we'll hopefully have some really big smiles when we're in that top four. Let's hope so, because it's there for us if we want to take it, I think. Neil gives a few thumbs up as well, which is nice. Yeah, we'll speak soon, Neil. Definitely, we have to get you back on the show again. And Robert as well, giving us some smiles as well. There we go. That's nice, isn't it? So, so thanks to all you guys as well. Obviously, Melvin, Adam, and Dorsey will speak to you next week. And in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners. Come on. Come on.